Hello everyone and welcome to Car News by Carcode, the place for automotive news, reviews and interviews. This week I'm going to be covering all of the latest news, also an interview with Oliver Millar, who is the son of the CEO of PureDrive Energy, who are now working with Duracell. Latest news, there's a little bit about road tax, and also I've got a good car deal that I've seen on a nearly new car. Thanks to whoever suggested that in another video. Let's start off straight away with the news. So news, obviously it was the 1st of April not long ago, so April Fool's Day, and that brought a lot of manufacturers having a bit of fun, making fake models and making some people a little bit annoyed. Volkswagen in particular had their ID3 Harlequin edition, which had the different iconic panels of different colours. They were actually luminescent and changed depending on the music apparently. Quite interesting. There were never real pictures of the vehicle, they were more mock-ups, but they would be what you'd see from a Volkswagen new trim level, like the Match models had that, the Golf Black edition had that, so it's not something we've not seen before, just a computer generated image. But people were not very happy about it, that it wasn't actually going to be a thing. Did it as sort of a joke to gauge what people would think of another Harlequin. Maybe they're thinking of doing it. Although there's pictures of a Harlequin on a 2021 Polo, they did it as like an anniversary thing of 25 years of Harlequin, and it doesn't look the same on a new car as it does back on the cars in the 90s, it just doesn't. But I would still love to see it. I think it's just a bit of fun. I did post on Instagram and TikTok about it, and here's a few of the thoughts. Smithy.005 said, this was very popular back in the days. There was only about 3,000 Polo Harlequins made, I think, but there was only meant to be a few hundred, so obviously more popular. Aidan Freeman said, I just want them to bring back the Beetle, and I 100% agree. And so does Lily Francesca Sims, who also said same, to wanting to bring that back, the Beetle. Hopefully, I think that's going to happen. There was actually some people who were absolutely fuming about this, that it wasn't going into production, particularly people who own the Harlequin models. They were really annoyed. I guess it would be how I'd feel if they said they're bringing a 3-door Golf back, or if they're bringing a Beetle back and said it was a joke. But I don't think they'd play with us with the Beetle or Scirocco or anything like that, because I think they might be keeping them for later. I think it was fine. It was a bit of fun, but some people clearly not happy. And I guess it's a fine line with manufacturers doing the joke and then also annoying people. And I think the high demand and sort of controversial opinions might spark them to make limited production of a few Harlequin editions of cars. Everyone was saying they want a Golf or a Polo like was originally on the Harlequins. More April Fool's news. Mercedes-Benz had quite a fun one, and it was obviously April Fool's, and it said only available on 1st of April, so everyone get it. And it was M-Buck's Bark Assist, and it was just dogs that were jumping in the car and it was listening to them barking and understood them and everything. It was fun. There was an Afghan hound with its beauty mode, and that's just all a bit of fun. Obviously they've got a good budget there to make some good content, and I don't think it's upset anyone, their campaign, because it's just a bit of fun with the dogs. I think something fun like that's quite good, but sometimes it is interesting when they release a car. But I remember probably a long time ago now, BMW brought out a pram, and that was April Fool's, and I thought that was quite fun. Little things like that are good fun, but obviously some things people are going to get angry about. And one of them, which I thought was real but it's clearly not, Toyota Germany put on their Instagram that they were releasing the GRX, which is an A-segment hot hatch based on the Igo, and it looked really good. It was 3 doors. It's kind of Picanto GT line-esque, but also it would fill the gap in the market because we don't have the Up GTI anymore, and I think it would sell really well. But unfortunately it was April Fool's. It looked AI, but it was on Toyota Germany's page, so I was like, no. And then I looked and it was April Fool's, so I was like, it was yellow, it was cool, and I think, again, maybe that could be gauging the demand. There's not much out there about it, it's literally just on Toyota Germany's page on Instagram. But I saw that and I thought, that'll be interesting, I'd love to see that. Just a fun little hot hatch that's affordable, and we're missing that on the market at the moment. It would have been good to see. It was said it was coming in 2025, unless they're doubling down on that and the joke is, it's real. Who knows? I remember I mentioned probably a year ago about I'd love to see a GR Igo Cross would be excellent, so we'll see. But again, I think it's just a bit of fun. So that was April Fool's. People were definitely fooled, which I'm surprised about. I can't believe people were fooled about a 12-kilogram cheesecake at Iceland. That was cheddar cheese, and someone went and looked to see if they could find it in the shop. So I'm glad I don't fall for these things very, very easily. As soon as I saw this Harlequin thing, I was like, yeah, there's going to be a Harlequin. But then as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, April Fools. So, quite glad I got my April Fool's radar on. There's also been so many facelifts this week, and they're all SUVs as well, so pretty crazy. We've seen the Renault Captur be facelifted, and honestly, I'm not too sure what I think. I didn't think the old one was that bad. The Duke, which is on the same platform, has a very minor tweak this year, and I think the Captur could have done with the same. It didn't need this overhaul. The face is different, and I am inclined to feel like it's going to age better than the pre-facelift, but I'm not too sure, that's the thing. It's going to still have its 1 litre turbocharged petrol with a 6-speed manual, and also still have the hybrid E-Tech powertrains. It also now brings in the Esprit Alpine model, so the sporty model, which looks nice on the inside. I just think it's so overshadowed by the new Scenic E-Tech, even the Austral from a year ago, 2 years ago, Renault 5, just so many more exciting products. Even the Renault Clio facelift looks a lot better, I think, than the Captur, so they could have just waited for the new generation in a couple of years. It freshens things up and looks fine. Apparently the rear tail lamps are clear now, but on all the pictures they're lit up, so you can't really tell. But the C-shaped headlights at the front were kind of like an iconic signature, and now they're just kind of rectangular, and I don't like them as much. I feel like it's lost something, and the Puma facelift, T-Cross facelift, Duke facelift all appeal to me a lot more than the Captur, but it definitely will appeal to a lot of people. It's just very crowded, the small SUV market, and Renault have been killing it with their new products, but the Capturs would be at the bottom of my list compared to the other competitors. And hopefully it'll look a bit better in the flesh, but I'm not sure about the front. For some reason it gives me Vauxhall vibes, early 2000 Vauxhall vibes. I don't know what it is about it. It doesn't look like it, but I'm getting a strange vibe. I can't put my finger on it, and I don't really like it. Sorry, Renault, because I absolutely love all their other new products, so it's a bit of a shame, but you can't love them all, right? The next facelift was the Hyundai Tucson, and that's had quite a minor tweak. The front face of it is a little bit more chunky now, a little bit bolder, which looks good. Hopefully they fix the indicators, which for some reason are near enough at the exhausts on Hyundai cars and Kias, which they need to sort out, and I think a lot of people have criticised them about that. Inside is where the big overhauls happen, so it's inspired by the Kona, so it's got a new screen, it's got a new steering wheel, it looks so much more modern, and I think that's really where it's improved itself compared to it was before. The physical climate controls look excellent as well. There's proper buttons and knobs instead of it being through. It always had its own section, but it was kind of like a screen, so it looks better now, and it looks more simplistic, and it looks more premium as well, so hopefully I'll review that as well. I've never been a huge fan of the Tucson. I think it was quite polarising, the design. People like it, people don't. I think this facelift is nice. It's very minor on the outside. There's not a huge difference compared to seeing other facelifts of cars. This is a minor facelift. The interior is really where it's going to sell itself. As with competitors, the Volkswagen Tiguan and the Ford Kuga, it will be available as a petrol, full hybrid and a plug-in hybrid. So loads of different options there, which is great to keep up with the competition. It does also have the option of a manual gearbox with the 1.6 turbocharged petrol as well, which is good. Honestly, that Hyundai and Kia Group engines, on paper their figures are really good. They don't always feel as fast as they say they are, or as smooth. Starting at around £32,000, so same as the Ford, similar as the Tiguan as well. I do like it more than the Kona. I don't like the new Kona. I know a lot of people love it. I just didn't like it. I love a different car. I love the Duke. I love the Puma. I like their Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6, but I've never been a huge Kona fan. But the interior, coming out of the Kona, that's a really good decision. Just looks nice, clean and modern. And last but not least, the Suzuki Vitara has received another facelift. No, not an all new generation. This car has been out since 2015 on UK roads, and this will be its second facelift. It's had little tweaks and updates along the way, including a facelift in 2018 and obviously more hybridization in the last few years with a mild hybrid and a full hybrid. That'll all stay the same. Good thing about Suzuki, obviously they've got the 4-wheel drive system, they're quite affordable vehicles, relatively safe and good warranty package, etc. It is getting quite old though, the Vitara, compared to the competitors. This facelift looks like they've given it a bit of chubbier cheeks. It's meant to look like the A-frames on the front of the old Vitaras back in the day, but not quite loving the outside design of it. It is getting on. I'm not sure about this facelift. It doesn't add a lot to the car. I think they could have gone a lot further with what they're doing with the facelift. Inside is where it's a little bit different. It's got a 9-inch centre infotainment screen now, which has grown. It just looks a lot more modern than the 7-inch one or 8-inch one that's in the current Vitara. Suzuki's always had kind of unintegrated screens. Don't blend into the design of the car. They look more like an aftermarket unit that you've picked up from Halfords and put in the car. But again, they offer that sturdy, durable, cheap, fun Suzuki heritage feels. It's a good option for some people out there. Almost 9-year production run, you'd hope to see an all-new model, but no, unfortunately not. So that's all the facelift news, loads of facelifts. The Ford Explorer Electric is also now available to order. You can watch my quick first look video up there. It's done really well, so thanks to everyone for watching it. It is now available to order, but it's not a cheap car. It starts at £45,875. It's starting off with the long range versions. The shorter range 52 kilowatt hour battery will be available to order in the autumn for early 2025 delivery, and that's going to start at £39,875. So a cheaper price point. They're based on the MEB platform, so it's basically an ID4 or Audi Q4 e-tron into a Ford Explorer, which is exciting. We've had a long wait for this one. EU regulations, they had to update charging specs, so that obviously doesn't take 5 minutes. It's a long process, so that's why it's took so long to get to the market. We will see it on UK roads in summertime though, and Ford are known for having quite a quick turnaround as well of when the car goes into the factory and when it lands in the dealership, so that's really good to know. It's just the point of getting it in the factory to even get to that step has been what's been delayed. I was impressed with the Ford Explorer. I do really like it. It's like a Ford and Volkswagen Frankenstein car, but I do like that about it. Definitely got more personality than the ID Volkswagen, so that's a really great thing. Another thing, not really the best news, car tax has gone up. So the base rate now on cars is £190. So it went from 180 to 190 for a year, which cost of living crisis, everything like that, you wouldn't really think they'd need to do it, but they've done it. And it's mad because it's not like the cars are emitting more CO2, it's the same, they've just upped it. It's £10 a year, it's not a big deal, but on other cars it's gone up a lot more, so just something to bear in mind that the road tax has gone up, unfortunately. Also, April always brings price hikes for lots of manufacturers. Some cars are hiked up by even 2 to 3%, so it can be quite a dramatic time for pricing, but there's always pre-reg cars at this time of year with the March targets at dealerships, so that's always something to look into. And that moves me quite nicely on to the deal of the week that I found. So this is a Peugeot E208 E-Style, which was a limited edition car, so it was kind of like, it's a facelift, but it kind of has the older technology, so it's got a 7-inch touchscreen inside, it's got analog dials that are electrified, they still look actually really modern, still got the new badge, it's still a facelift, it was in black, it's done just over 2,000 miles, and it's just over £17,000. So that's my little bargain there. I think that's really good. It says it's an ex-demo/demo, so the mileage might be a bit more than that, and I'm not paid to promote this Peugeot branch at all. It's from Spotty Car, which is Stellantis' used car site essentially. But yeah, I thought that's really good, especially if you configured a new one. They don't do that trim anymore, so it'd be the active, which is slightly lower. That would cost about 32. So, you know, we're looking at almost half price for a car that's done a couple thousand miles. It's on a 73 plate. It's in the pearl black. Really nice little car. 222 miles official range, I believe. In the winter, you'll probably get 150 plus. So really good, and you know, it has the nice seats in it from the Allure, so looks really good, and it's a facelift, so I thought you can't really go wrong with that. That is a bit of a bargain. Really nice little electric car, maybe your first step into an EV. There is definitely some bargains to be had out there. That was my little bargain of the week, the Peugeot E208 E-Style. And on to my interview now with Oliver Millar from PureDrive Energy, aka Duracell Energy. They have partnered up to make their system. Duracell's basically reached out to them. They want in that system, and essentially it's all their PureDrive hardware and software, just branded as Duracell. So I think this is really exciting. You know what? It's almost a little bit embarrassing that I didn't realise we had this in the house. That is a PureDrive Energy storage box. So essentially the Duracell one is the same as this, but with Duracell branding. Interesting, it's all about the ecosystem and the app. That's what their technology really focuses on, and that's why Jcell likes them. And I'd be interested to talk more about the Jcell brand and PureDrive energy storage, because my dad use this storage for your renewable energy. Don't know a huge amount of it. I think I know a good amount. You know, it doesn't excite me like cars does. It's part of the electrification system, you know, probably like how many people are with cars. That's how I am with the battery storage and everything. I like the Duracell brand, so something like that would make a lot of sense. The ecosystem looked really good. It's just quite an interesting thing, really. I'm not a huge energy nerd or anything like that with all the renewables and all the different brands. That was what was mainly at the Everything Electric show. If you're into that, it's good. Most of it was that rather than cars, I found. But I was drawn to Duracell because Duracell's a brand everyone knows. You know the Duracell bunny? The bunny was there, which was quite funny. The Duracell brand identity is quite strong, and I thought Duracell making batteries, chargers, it just works, and I think a lot of people will be drawn to that because there's so many names out there that you've got no idea what they are. I was drawn to it and I thought it's interesting, especially that it's not made by Duracell. Duracell's gone to another brand and they've trusted them, which is quite exciting. So this is my interview with Oliver Millar. So I'm joined with Oliver. How did Jcell approach it?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally the company was PureDrive Energy. So my dad Mark started that in, I think, about 2015 or 16, after he'd got experience in manufacturing of components for batteries overseas. It was a small company for a long time, and it was before batteries were really popular.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, things started to really kick off, which was great. My brother got involved, I got involved. It was really good to see. We were like in the first 10 people in the company. And then 2021 and 2022, the market just absolutely booms. And yeah, it was really strong growth for everyone, really. And our strengths in that period were that we had a big team in the UK compared to a lot of our competitors. So we very quickly took on feedback, we innovated the products, and then we ended up developing a really high-performing product, but also that's well supported. So Mark mentioned earlier that we've got a 4.8 on Trustpilot, which is the best out of everyone in our market. And that's the reason why Jcell approached us, really, because they need someone to represent their brand that they can trust. Yeah. So that's a product that's high performing and a product that's well supported. So yeah, we met them and then they were happy with what we were doing, and yeah, here we are.
And I mean, that's pretty amazing because obviously it's going to do well because Jcell is known for batteries, so you're kind of set really with that. Got the branding and everything on point. So can you tell us a little bit about what products are available for customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we're predominantly a battery company to begin with, and we worked with third-party inverters, and we then kind of transitioned into more of like a software company where we were doing a lot of the software that manipulates like tariffs, opportunities for grid services as well. When you start operating tariffs, what then happens is people often get an EV charger with their battery or an EV with their battery, and they use their EV charger and their battery during the cheap periods at the same time, but sometimes they can then conflict each other. So we got a lot of feedback based on that, and we developed our own EV charger. And then the market now is crying out for a full ecosystem of products, kind of like your Apple, where your iPhone works with your MacBook. And so it just makes more sense to have one company managing your energy for your home. So that's now our ambition. We've just launched an inverter, and we're looking at a few other renewable energy products for the future as well.
So that's exciting. And so can you tell us a bit about your standard kind of wall box and what that offers?
Yeah, 100%. So at the moment, we've got a 7 kilowatt EV charger.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with EV chargers is that they are all generally very similar. So they're all about 7.4 kilowatts.
Yeah.
So the real benefit to having our EV charger is if you have solar or if you have a battery system. So obviously it can charge off excess solar, just like a battery would if you don't have a battery. And if you have a battery and an EV charger as well, our big USP, as I said earlier, is in our software where we manipulate the tariffs. So the products communicate with each other in the same cloud, and it's all managed by us.
Yeah.
So that way the home energy usage, in terms of your actual usage, but also in terms of price that you pay for that energy, is constantly being optimized by our products being able to communicate with each other.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it can be quite confusing with the car having a different system, this having a different app, your home having a different app, so it just makes it all just so much simpler for everyone, so it's great.
Yeah, so that's the feedback that we got as well, is like, just too many apps.
Yeah.
Like with ours, you can monitor and manage all of your products all on one app, which is what people have been crying out for. Yeah.
And what would you say about being a younger person in the industry? Like, obviously, there's not many younger people. How are you finding finding that? Obviously, you've got the backing of your dad and your brother. How are you finding it being at shows and things like this?
Yeah, really interesting. So I know I am definitely younger, but the way the market's grown over the last few years, you get a lot of confidence by having, because I've been in the industry for 3 years now, and I always say this, like, I would love to know the number, because I tried when coming from university, coming into new industry, tried to do loads of research, and there was just hardly anything there. And like even when you're trying to search through websites and articles and journals, I'd love to know the number of web pages with home battery storage when I started versus now, and it's night and day. Like the market's come on massively, and even though I am young, coming straight out of university, having grown with the company from 10 to 100 employees, and also grown with the market where it's just completely different from to what it was in 2022. It fills you with a lot of confidence. When you're talking to people, you can have really good conversations because you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And just one last thing. So you're obviously the original company. Are you just now trading as Duracell?
How it works, so PureDrive Energy owns the license to design, develop, build and distribute Jcell products. EV charger, battery and inverter at the moment. We've got a really good relationship with Duracell. They work very closely with us. So the PureDrive business will always exist. We're now operating under the Duracell Energy brand, producing Duracell products.
That's great. So some useful information there. Thank you, Oliver, for talking to me.
Very nice to meet you.
So I hope you enjoyed that small interview segment with Oliver Millar from PureDrive/Jcell. Was quite interesting. I did want to get a little bit of the eco chat at the Everything Electric show in London. That's where I was last week. I did the Ford Explorer first look, and I also did a first drive of the Smart #3 Brabus. So got some really good content there. As a content day, I did quite well. As an event, I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy it as much as the Harrogate event last year. It was worth me going to get my content 100%, but if I went as a family, it was kind of designed to look like it was a fun family day out. I wouldn't say so. There was a bouncy castle for some kids, and that was about it. It was mostly kind of people chatting about energy and renewables and things like that. It is interesting, but there's only so much of that I can take, and the petrol hatred is just so strong that it's just like, it's a little bit cultish actually. I'm not a fan of die-hard petrol, and I think all electric cars are rubbish. I'm also not a fan of die-hard EV fans who think everyone should go to electric cars and petrol cars are gonna end the world. That's my little piece on that. I do thank them though for having me. It was really great, and I got to look at the Ford Explorer. The highlight was definitely the Smart #3 Brabus driving. That was really fun, and Smart was really good. The teams were quite good as well. The events teams and some of the press teams were there for the smaller brands. So like Aura was there, which was really nice to speak to them. It was a good event, but it was more focused on the energy side of things rather than the car side of things, I found. But overall, everyone was quite good. It was more the organisation of the event was a bit disappointing. So that's just a bit of helpful feedback, I suppose. I got my content. I'm glad I got my content. Moving on to my comments now. Comments. So this is a comment relating to the show, and this is from Rolf Beck 9796. Hi Sam, I met you briefly at the show. You're doing a great job, keep it up. If you were to put a Range Rover badge on the Explorer, people would be all over it. Looking forward to you taking it out for a test drive in the summer. Thank you, Rolf. It was really weird to be approached. I was like, what? Someone recognised me? And I know it's like a very niche place to be, isn't it? An electric car show. But I just wasn't expecting it. I was just like, wow. So yeah, that was nice. And thanks for coming up to me, Rolf. And thanks for those words. It's really nice when I get some encouraging words. Next comment I'll go to is the one from the previous podcast. Ricky G84. Well done, Sam. You did a fantastic job interviewing the Mazda people, and calling the MX-5 the Renault 5 is just perfect footage for the next bloopers compilation. Hope you have a fantastic time in London. Yeah, it was quite funny that I accidentally said Renault 5 instead of MX-5, but we had a good laugh about it. That's in my last podcast episode, which you can check out up there. Yeah, that was an interesting episode. That was my first interview, so hopefully you enjoy that one. And then one on the Mazda 2 hybrid facelift review. This was from MWBP01. Very informative review. I like this specification detail you gave. Plus the comparison with the car's nearest rival, the Honda Jazz, is great. So that's really great. Thank you for that. The Mazda 2 hybrid is basically the Toyota Yaris. So I did make a lot of comparisons with that car, but essentially it's the same car, so you've got to have an additional car to compare it with. I've got a lot of experience with the Honda Jazz working at Honda, so it was interesting to compare the two, and you can also watch that video up there. And someone on YouTube about the Harlequin, Stuart Smith 158, said it's unique and they should follow tradition. Someone else thought it was a good idea, the Harlequin. And last but not least, I thought this was a lovely comment that I got a few days ago from Janksicus. I hope I said that right. Janksicus. You are pretty good at what you are doing and so good to see your enthusiasm. Keep it up. And that was on the Ford Transit Custom. So thank you for that. That's some good comments. Coming soon. And what's coming soon? Well, some exciting things actually. I've got an MX-5 review to edit. That was from the Mazda Day, which was actually a couple of weeks ago, which is a bit mad that I haven't uploaded that yet. So sorry about that. That'll go on. It's the facelift / slight tweak for 2024 model. I really like that car and I love driving it, so that's really exciting. So that'll be up. Also, I'm going to be reviewing my mum's new car, which I bought her, which is great. I bought her as we're kind of going to share it. So I've got my own Golf, but then I bought a little Volkswagen Up for my mum. She had a Micra that was battered and ready just to go. So we changed that in and I paid the rest for the Up. We could share it. It's a little Volkswagen high up to the top of the range. It's a 12 plate. There's a few problems with it, but we'll go through that one in my video. And I will have like a series, I suppose, where I'll be doing bits and bobs. Fitting DAB radio possibly, fitting new speakers possibly, so things like that. So follow along for that. The review will be out shortly and hopefully I get some sponsors on that to help me with that. I don't want to make it a rally car or anything. It just needs a few tweaks just to make it right. Because it is a really lovely little car. It's done under 36,000 miles. So I'm actually excited about it. There's just a few things been getting water in somewhere. So we need to fix that. The odd bit, but the body works really good, which is important. That'll be coming up. More content on that, and of course more news will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So if that sounds good, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel down below and you can keep an eye out for all the latest news, reviews and interviews. Good news is as well, this podcast is now available on Apple Podcasts. I finally made it reach Apple Podcasts, so that's really exciting for me. That's where I get all my podcasts from. If it's not from YouTube, I'll get them on Apple Podcasts. So you can get me now on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. You can put your comments on Spotify and also leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That'll mean a lot and more people will see the podcast. But also leave your thoughts in the comments on this podcast. That'll be great to see. Thank you so much for watching episode 5 of Car News by Carcode. I hope to see you in my next review or podcast episode.